Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to have this guest on, Mateo Akira. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I've known Mateo for quite a few years. We've been working together and he has literally worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. So we've got, let's see, God, it's a big list. Rowan Atkinson, Chris Hemsworth, Paul Mescal, Santan Dave, Lipa, Ewan McGregor, Tom Holland, Anthony Joshua, Louis Theroux, Will Poulter, Daisy Edgar-Jones. Just the list goes on and on.
Well, let's explain. You work for GQ.
Yeah.
let's just clarify your role first, because Cameron's just here, just like listing off names of people he fancies and who he'd love to work with. So tell us your role.
I'm the senior video producer at GQ. I manage and kind of direct most of the video content that we do.
I don't know if the viewers can hear it or even see it on YouTube, but I'm very excited to have you on. I think like we've been working together for quite a few years, but there's a lot of, I guess, like friendship development through the years where I felt like you was a bit more of a boss or a little bit more of like a senior figure. And then I found out you was basically just
I was going to
the
say,
same as me.
Can we just clarify, are you two mates? Because Cameron makes out like you're his best mate and he's always talking about you. So can we just get some clarity for the pod and the listeners? You two are good. You two are friends.
Well,
yeah, of course.
Of course.
Cameron's my favorite editor as well.
Yeah, okay.
Before we carry on into like obviously all your massive accolades and all these things, where does it all start? Like, where does the origin of Mateo start? How did you get into the creative industry? Where did the hobby, I guess, or the interest come from?
It all started, I think, I was lucky that, my mother gave me a camera when I was a kid and I started with Final Cut to make my own movies. Then as I became a teenager, I started skateboarding and me and my friends used to do a lot of like skate films, and that evolved in school. Like, I think the first time I did a film that I was like relatively proud of, although it's absolutely horrible now that when I've looked back at it. I used to study philosophy in school, and there was an assignment about what we thought was a utopia, and the teacher would allow us to hand out the project in any format. So I decided to make a film with my friends of what we thought the utopia was like, which was a terrible film, but it had a really good reception in school. I remember during how do you call it, like recess? Is it called like on the playground?
Break time.
Yeah,
break
time.
Yeah, break time.
Yeah, you did a few screenings for other classes, because the word spread around like, this guy made a film and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was a 15-minute short.
Okay.
I remember as well, like I wanted to do this challenge with my friend of both would like show our asses in the film, and that was like part of the, being able to have your ass projected in the middle of class. It was just for fun, but like we really, really enjoyed it, and then it just picked up from there. Like, I started to apply to like short film competitions, and then just realized like, oh, I do enjoy this a lot. So by the time I was in uni, I already knew how to edit, I knew how to shoot and stuff.
Yeah.
But then in uni, I actually didn't thought I could get into the creative industry. So I studied media communications, which was like kind of touching a little on being creative, but like what my parents thought it was going to be the most secure thing to do, which in the end was a waste of time. And I wish I'd never done it. I'd never done it because I truly wanted to do video. As soon as I finished uni, I decided to move to London. I had no contacts, no friends.
That's such a running trait with like a bunch of us, isn't it?
I just like in Spain, like the creative industry is not as strong. Like London sounds amazing.
So you studied in Spain?
Yeah.
You did your uni degree there.
Yeah.
Did you come to London after Spain, or did you go to? I thought you went to Spain then California.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did. Okay, so if I tell the long story, I just like, well, I mean, you can cut this part out. But I did 1 year in Coventry, and I did 1 year in California. And then the last year was actually in New Mexico, Santa Fe, which had like an amazing arts uni.
Okay.
And that was the only time where I was actually able to study film a little bit. Like they had like a program that, even though it was media communications, which was more like being a PR, you could like kind of fake it and just go to cinema classes and stuff, which was amazing. Like Robert Redford had a building there. It was a very like creative uni. Yeah. It's shut down now, but it was called Santa Fe University of Arts and Design. It was like amazing. That inspired me a lot actually to like pursue more of that.
So from there then, what made you come to London?
There's no reason why I moved to London. I just felt it sounded cool in my head, like, or some kind of calling, it sounded like the right thing to do. Like you finish uni, you want to break into the creative industry, you're going to do it in London. Like it didn't sound that appealing to do it in Madrid.
Yeah.
I moved out, it was pre-Brexit. So you could literally just find a job on the same day. I started I worked in a ramen restaurant in Sheeran in Soho.
Yeah.
Like first day I arrived, I had the ramen there. I thought it was okay. And I asked if I could work there. And they like made me a trial shift and I had a job on the first day.
Really?
That easy. It was crazy easy.
Yeah.
And I worked like for 3 weeks and every day I was just simply like at night sending lots of CVs and stuff. I had 3 job interviews in total. Nobody ever called me back. Like they always actually finished the interview saying, that was great. We'll let you know, it had such a good feeling.
Classic, yeah.
But not even a reply. Like at least tell me, we found somebody else or, maybe your skill set is not there yet, which was true. I mean, I was fresh. But then I got my email from Condé Nast. And to be honest, I didn't even know what Condé Nast was at the beginning because I had emailed so many people.
Can we explain what Condé Nast is for the people that might not know?
So Condé Nast Publications is the umbrella company that owns like the biggest publications in the world. So Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, which is the one that I work for, Wire Magazine, and you name it. I think there's only one other big umbrella company that is, I don't remember the name
Enemy.
now. The Enemy, yeah.
We don't mention
about
But
them,
they own the boring ones.
So you got an email from Condé Nast?
Yeah, I got an email and they were like, they like your profile and stuff. And they wanted to meet up with me. So I had my first interview with the art director. Yeah. And it went really well. And on the same day, he asked me if I could come back and meet the creative director.
Really?
Yeah, straight away. Like I went, I ate a burger. And then I came back, and I had to meet the creative director, which was a quite intimidating person.
So what was that like coming from? You basically just got to London. You had your first job. You didn't have a lot of experience, I imagine, straight out of uni.
I think one thing that stand out on my profile, on my portfolio, was that I used to do a lot of passion projects. Okay. So even though I was not that experienced, that summer I went to Croatia with my friends, and I was the one who recorded everything and did a video. There was a summary of everything, which is a good way to start making, like your first pieces of work. Yeah. As lucky as I was, the art director was married to a Croatian woman, so he really liked Croatia, and that video resonated with him. So he clicked on it and he watched it and he liked it. Yeah. So that was like helping out. For him to like wanting to meet me because, like in a way he felt like some kind of attraction to the work.
Right? Yeah.
Even though I had no experience on like real life projects, I had a lot of experience on being creative, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was actually a designer's job. So
it was a designer job?
Yeah. So they were looking for a magazine designer, like doing the iPad version of the magazine. Okay. But it was at the time where magazines were like, right, we need to start doing video because there's this thing like now that everybody's doing it on social media and we're kind of behind on it. So they were looking for a designer that knew how to edit. And I was really lucky as well because like I was not a very good designer, but I knew how to edit really well because I've done it for like so many years by then. So that's what like got me in the door. And then I just like had to work my ass off. Like after the meeting with the creative director, where they like asked me like, can you do InDesign and can you do all that stuff? Like, like they say like fake it till you make it. Like I obviously was like, yeah, of course, I know how to do that and stuff. And they were like, cool, you start in 1 week. Like just like that. On the same day, did the 2 interviews and I already had offered like to do the trial period.
So that's come up quite a few times though. So you've mentioned 2 things, which was doing personal projects, which you never know who's watching. And it just so happened that the creative director of GQ or Condé Nast was like, I love Croatia, and it just so happened. And then there's also this with just faking it till you make it and not knowing how to do things, but just being like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I did like a whole like course of InDesign and like all in a week, just non-stop. Yeah. And then during the trial period, I would like pop up YouTube and like just check how to do stuff. Yeah, because they were Adam Driver was on the cover at that time, and they were like they wanted to do a cool cover reveal. And I was like, yeah, I'll just do something with lightsabers and stuff. There's like 1 million people showing you how to do it on YouTube. I might not know it at the time, but like secretly on my phone, watching the tutorial. I did the video. It looks sick, and that like kind of started to prove like, okay, this guy, maybe he's a little bit slow. I don't know what he's doing in his phone so much, but he's doing cool things,
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then it just managed to stay 5 years.
So you've got your job and you're in it for a while. And then how does it turn into the role you're in now? Did you have a few different roles like over that period?
Yeah. Obviously, I started as a designer, which is not what really I like to do.
Yeah.
Not what I was best at, but I was always touching a little bit more on video. So like there was a little bit of a reputation on like me being good at it, being doing video. On design, I probably, like anybody that you speak with will say I was quite shit, to be honest. Can I swear? Is it okay? Yeah. Doing motion graphics for GQ and stuff was like crazy, because like nobody was doing even video. So I remember like they came to me with a brief, and I just like did my first all-nighter on my like second week of GQ. I was like, I'm just gonna like blow their minds off.
Yeah.
Because like there was a lot of pressure, like at the beginning, GQ used to be quite a strict environment, like you really had to prove that you deserve to be there. Because there's like, now that I've been part of the process of hiring people, you put an ad out and you're gonna get like hundreds and hundreds of applications. So if you're given the opportunity, you need to like prove your worth. And at the time I was young and I was ready to like give everything I had. So I remember I like stayed the whole night just like smashing out this animation, and they really loved it, that just kind of like made it more like video work come to me. They were like starting to get more ambitious, like, wow, now we can do these cover reveals with lightsabers, and now we're doing like these animations and stuff. Like it was still very like low level, but for a company that did not do any videos, it was starting to like really build up.
So you really brought, I guess, like a lot of options to GQ then.
Yeah, I guess we had more freedom to explore more, open more doors in the world of video, because video is so expensive that like if you have a creative idea but you don't have the budget, if you don't know how to do it, then you're fucked. Like but if you hire like 22-year-old kid that is like willing to try everything and see if they can do it, then your possibilities start to like increase, that you can try things, even events. That's when we like kind of like just up a lot more like what we used to do for the award shows and stuff, because it was just like literally me trying to like, maybe we can do now this kind of loops and stuff, like these animations. The content of the screens doesn't have to be static anymore. It could be like I think the first one that we did, the creative director wanted like liquid gold loop going on. And that was only possible once like they had somebody that was like testing out and trying to do things with video. I think inevitably like magazines as a like physical product is something of the past. I think like everybody's aware of it. Like Condé Nast is now like a digital first company. Even though like we have like strong sale on magazines and stuff, like the power of digital is unavoidable. So there was a moment where the company itself was like, right, we need to now have dedicated people on doing video, at least like one person.
Yeah.
And obviously like for me, when I heard that, it was like, this is amazing, like they already know who I am.
Yeah.
I might become the video producer and stuff. And they hired somebody else, which was a huge disappointment.
So they went external, like, or did just someone else in the...
Just somebody else got hired. I won't say I was lucky, or maybe he was very unlucky, but just he didn't like click in the right way with the team. So he didn't last very long. And then the same opportunity came up. The job was empty again. And I was like, wow, maybe they're going to choose me, blah, blah, blah. But this time there was no room for like, wait for them to ask me. So I just literally went to Dylan Jones. I wrote a letter. I prepared a speech, and I went to his office, and I was like, Dylan, like I've worked for you for a year now. I understand how the creative director works. I understand the company. I understand what you want to do. Please give me an opportunity, and I'm going to show you what I can do. Like you're still hiring anyway, so you don't have anything to lose. Just like at that time, it was just basically, I'm still going to get paid on the role that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to take on those opportunities and, see if I can keep up, you know?
Firstly, I just want to say that's class. Like the fact that you put yourself forward, and for anyone listening, like that just goes to show that you went to the creative director's office, you wrote a letter, you prepared a speech, and you put yourself on the line in order to potentially be shot down, but to take that risk and it pay off. I presume you're getting to that point now, but like that's just great, and I think that's a great lesson for anyone listening. Like, don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, I think at the time for me, I didn't have anything to lose. Like I didn't really like to be a designer. I knew so well that I wanted to be a video creative. So it was like the opportunity was there, and I could just. I heard a really good sentence the other, really good phrase maybe for your whiteboard. It was like
comes up in every episode.
when you have to take a decision, the best thing you can do is to make the right decision. The second best thing you can do is like take the wrong decision, and the worst thing you can do is not do anything about it. Like, I don't want to say it worked out from the beginning, like, because I did fuck up a few of my first shoots. Like, I got away with it, luckily, because there was another crew, and I had set up a camera wrong and stuff like that. So I did have my first fails that I was again able to save on the edit. Like, I hate to say like we'll save it in post and stuff, but like, I shot with 2 different
Fixing
cameras.
post.
Yeah, fixing in post. I did like save my life a few times. But the challenge was super high from the beginning. Like, and I have to give a shout out here to Lloyd Willesee. One of the first shoots I ever had to do was with Kurupt FM.
Oh yeah,
and it was back in the time when we were like way more ambitious about what we were doing as shoots. Like now GQ formats are very simple to execute. Yeah. It's about the interview and the story that you're getting. We basically wanted to get the Kurupt FM boys to like come to the office and ask to be in the cover of GQ Hype, and it was going to be shot as a real skit.
Okay.
I remember the creative director asked me like, only one of us can direct. Is it going to be you or me? Do you want to do it? And I said like straight away, like, yes, I'm going to do it. But then I was with Lloyd and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I've never done this before. They're like real, like I'm now working with real actors.
Yeah.
I had set up a crew of like real cameraman. This is not uni anymore. This is like people, everybody knows what they're doing except me. But I cannot like let people know, I was just like, just having like a quiet moment with him, and Lloyd really believed in me. He was like, I know you can do it, like 100%. It was really supportive. I think like he's told me now that he wasn't also very sure if I could do it or not.
Do you know what? I did speak to him about that, and he was like, man, that shoot I did, that was the one that like really like put me on there. Yeah. So I don't even think Lloyd knew what he was doing for like a decent amount. Like, I think he was testing the waters as well with you.
Yeah. He helped a lot as well, like it was mad. I remember after I finished the shoot, I was like so low in energy, like I was about to faint of like the pressure.
Yeah.
But we made it work, it was like a 1-hour shoot, and 15-minute short came out of it that is like really funny to watch as well.
It sounds like a lot of the times you had to trust your own ability. And even though you didn't know what you was gonna do, you kind of knew that you would just figure it out.
And also someone else was taking a chance on you.
Yeah.
Which I think is always the case. I think we can kind of all relate in our careers. Like, there'll be someone that has some belief in you and has took a chance on you and has said, I think you can produce this. Like, I believe in you, even if they're not sure you can. And I think we're like lucky to have had those people along the way, but it just goes to show that those people are there along the way, and it's just about finding them.
100%. Like, I think you have to be very grateful when you come across with somebody that believes in you. And I think it's very important not to let them down as well.
If you don't try, you never know.
Yeah. Like they say, you need that like fire behind you to like push you forward, but then you also need like the goal of being able to do it.
The thing is that for me, even if you fail, Cameron, there's still always like the lesson of it, like ultimately we're just entertainers, we're not politicians, we're not doctors. We're like, even if on your worst shoot, like you have a nightmare and you fuck up big time, end of the day, everybody's going back to their house, they're just going to have an anecdote of how weird this shoot went. You might get fired, but like it's not the end of the world. So we shouldn't be so scared to fail, like, and that once you like stop worrying about it and you focus on like, let's do it the best we can, and that's what you keep in your mind, then you have like that kind of push that you like just helps you succeed on the stuff that you're doing.
That was
like
such a good
Yeah, I
sound
like
bite.
that. Yeah.
Jesus.
I was thinking like social media account. There you go.
So like you're having to manage a lot of people on set, right? So you're producing a shoot or you're directing a shoot. There's a lot of moving parts, and that requires good communication, being able to lead a team. So what does that look like for you on a normal shoot? So like, what's your role? And have you got any tips for people that are trying to manage like a set full of people?
I think for me, the key on how to manage a set is like always stay positive. Like I've worked with a lot of people that are catastrophists. Like you hear very early on, like, we don't have a project, we don't have a shoot, like things are gonna go wrong, and there's still always so much room to like keep on trying and fight for things, no matter how bad the situation might look. Like I had really complicated shoots. I remember I did a shoot with Sir Captain Tom, and at that time he was 101 years old. You know, like it was very limited on the time we had available, and we were supposed to do a cover shoot and also a mini film where, because he's been doing so many laps around his garden, he actually got so fit that now he does parkour and skateboards. And we only had 30 minutes with him. So there was a lot of pressure. And also it was a very rainy day as well, which all the parts of the creative were about like it being a good day, even for the photo shoot. Even for the photo shoot and like all the video concept, it didn't work indoors. It was supposed to be so there was a lot of pressure on what needed to be get. And to be honest, like if I hadn't stayed positive, you know, and just trying to like basically calm down everybody's nerves, like that would have been just so detrimental. Because like, I mean, Matt, you're a photographer, Cameron, you're a videographer. It's two worlds that have to work a lot together, but you know, everybody's there to get the best out of their moment. But if you don't work together, you're basically not you're not gonna get the best out of it, you know. And you have to be both a team player. Like even when I'm in video first, you know, like I'm also conscious that I'm getting like leaving photo to other times so they can also do their part correct. But I also expect that photo is gonna like respect my time and give me enough time to be able to get the content that I need. Because if I'm interviewing somebody and I need an hour to like get the proper insights and the things that I want, I cannot then rush it and do it in 20 minutes, because then it's gonna feel like it's very hard to make somebody open up and give you the good stuff when 100%. You're just like, you know, trying to rush them into say the stuff. So it's something that I think is improving a lot. I think as I work more with the younger generation of creatives, there's more respect on set. There's more like understanding that we're a team, you know, and we're here to get the best out of it. You want to have a day of great photos and a day of great video. And these old times of like, you know, creatives being these big divas that like, you know, they're like almost gods and stuff. It's just like hopefully going away, you know, like I'm not big on that. I feel like respect and being positive on set is like the main things that I want to have when we're working.
So as someone who like obviously runs a lot of like teams and is used to, I guess, looking for the skills that you think people will be good in a team and good to work with, just taking it back to when me and you met. So I came into GQ through like a friend. He was ill and I needed to come in and make some selects for you, and that was the first time I met you. I actually met Kieran first properly.
What's that? And
so I made selects and then it was good. You must have liked me or something, I don't know. Obviously you like me. And anyway, I came back a week later and you wanted me to work on the Luke Evans video, and that was the first time I met you. Now, what the reason why I'm mentioning this is because after that you continued to work with me, and so I'm wondering, what did you see from your perspective where you was like, oh, this is like a good skill set, or I don't know, maybe just good to be around? What was it that you found where you was like, I need to sort of keep Cameron around? And then obviously, how did it go from there?
What are the things you look for that keep you coming back to work with a creative, essentially?
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Sometimes like you work with people that are incredibly talented, but it's an absolute nightmare to work with them. And, you know, you have to always remember this, like we're a team and what you do affects me. So like, first of all, how we work together is like one of the most important things. I think talent is a secondary thing. Obviously, it's something that you need. And if you were not talented, you would have not stayed. But talent can be learned, you know, like there is things about the way I work that you can learn through time. And if you have the right work ethic and the skill set that is necessary to do the job, there's only like room to improve on that relationship. And then, yeah, you've proved like you got talent, Cameron, like, you know, like,
oh man, this is
I
gonna
hate
go.
that this is
This is gonna go for like a looped video on the wall or something. Yeah.
My moment of shouting out here to Cameron, like when a project is hard and it's like almost impossible to get it done.
Yeah.
Even when I think like it cannot be done,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call Cameron and be like,
Yeah.
yo, we have this project and you know, like it needs to be done.
Because you
There's
know
no,
he'll
like,
pull an all-nighter.
yeah. Well, not about all-nighter, but like doesn't matter the challenge, you know, like he'll try.
Yeah, he'll
you
try,
know, and
yeah.
there's a lot of people that might be like, oh, that's too much, or like, you
Yeah.
know, like we're not doing this. But you know, if you want somebody that like is gonna be, because I'm gonna be going, I will never ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And you're a witness that if I had to sleep in your floor to finish a deadline, I'm gonna be there next to you, you know. But I need somebody that is gonna be a team, you know. Like I think this creative industry is not about solo players, you know. You need to be able to work in team, and like once you find somebody that is gonna go the extra mile with you, like you want to keep it in your team and like keep on doing stuff together.
Yeah, that's so true. And I kind of want to circle back on how you said working on set when you've got to work with a video team alongside like a photo team. Like most of the shoots and the high profile people I've shot have always been on set with a video team, and it's literally like you've got 5 minutes to get your stills, go. But you're working with the video team's lighting and like what's already up, but it's just a case of like being a team and getting the best out of each other. Because if you start arguing and falling out, neither of you are going to get what what you want, and that's so true. And I think I just wanted to reiterate that like majority of the shoots are like that, and it's either working on like a music video set and you've got to jump in and the director lets you have 2 minutes with the talent or whatever it is. But those are like the high pressure environments you've got to kind of like show up in and turn up for.
I'm not sure if we've had it on some of the GQ shoots, but I think the photo team takes precedent sometimes depending on who it is, and I think we've had it a few times where the photo team have had to be prioritized and we've lost a little bit of time video side. So it sounds like you're on the opposite side of it where it's you who have to jump
I
in.
would love to be in the position where I am a priority or the photo team is the priority, because I feel like anytime I have to capture a portrait of someone, it's like a rushed Polaroid or a rushed but that's fine because I'm grateful to be in the position to photograph that person in the first place. But it's like an absolute dream to be in the studio and be like, let's try this, and then have your set time and not like piggybacking on the back of like a video shoot.
Yeah.
But these things happen, and that's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, I think as well that comes back to what Mateo was saying about being a team player is you almost go
accept
on
it.
Yeah, like you go on those shoots sort of expecting to have
and I
to
know
give
that's
a
the
little
way
bit
it's
of
going to
leeway
be,
with
and that's
things.
absolutely fine. I'm just I'm grateful for the opportunity in the first place, and one day I hope I'm in a position where I can do and create what I want to create with that talent. But yeah, like it just goes to show that the teams are usually working together. Like it's never just like, oh, it's a photo day or it's a video. Do you know what I mean? They're always in tandem, really.
Yeah. You were saying, I think like at least in GQ used to like, because it's a magazine, photo used to be the king. Like
it's the cover. It's like the magazine cover.
It is like it had a lot of importance, but now you realize that a video can like get. It's way easier for a video to get 1 million views.
Well, a reel could blow up that you guys put out, and that's video content that's been seen by way more people that have bought the magazine that year.
You see, every cover has always a video. That is just so important right now that like it's just built in.
Going on from that, I'm just wondering, like in your position and obviously the amount of platforms you post and stuff like that, how was Reels coming about and TikTok and like all that stuff? How have you had to change internally with like the video ideas and being like, oh, we need to like make a 9x16 for this now instead of just a, like a 16x9 or a 4x5.
Right. I feel like we could have a whole podcast on that. So obviously it's an like top priority to be optimized for like short form, but also I don't think it's like what it's going to become in the future. Like it's going to live with the long form content, but ultimately like, I think Facebook, for example, has removed now their like creators fund. Like companies are really struggling. Like, and when I say companies, I mean the big social media platforms are struggling with monetizing the short form content. So I think for creators that are only focusing on short form content, it's not like fully the way to go, because obviously it's harder to monetize, and also it's very hard to create kind of like a loyal community from it. The short form creators don't like stay with you, while on YouTube, you know, like, because you stay like there for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes with them.
You get
like,
wrapped up in the story, and you get like, it touches you properly. Yeah.
I also want to add, like, I'm not against short form content, and I realize that it has so much potential, especially to like exposure kind of potential. So it is a big focus. It has happened to me as well, where a video, like, you know, might not perform as you're hoping, but then you started to release the shorts on like different social media, and then those start to get picked up, and then that drives back viewers to your main video. So in terms of like exposure, like short form content has a lot of like power to it.
It allows you to be seen, essentially.
Yeah,
it's like the funnel. But yeah, well, how do you have to deal with it internally? With like, because obviously one day Instagram Reels doesn't exist, and then the next minute suddenly Instagram Reels exist, and you're like, holy shit, we've got to start making now extra content on our team. What
we're also trying, apart from that, is like, and I really want to tap into it more, but it's really tricky, is like low budget, low effort, low execution, social first content.
Okay.
So instead of repurposing stuff that it was meant to be for long form for YouTube, which is a very easy way to make short form, there is also a huge opportunity. And that's why you were saying, like, a lot of celebrities, like, they're always with their video team and stuff. Like, if you dominate well how you're doing social media content, and you have like a generalist, like a creative generalist, which is like basically somebody that can shoot, edit, and grade and mix content, then you can start like creating high performing content that is also really cheap to do, which is also going to be like the future of a lot of the creative industry, which I guess tapping into what people are learning now. I think there used to be this image of like you have to become a specialist, and I think the industry now is changing. Unless you want to do films where you need a huge crew and stuff, like if you want to work on social media, it's all about becoming a generalist and understanding that you're creating content for social media, so you don't need the 10K budget to do like
some TikToks and some videos and stuff.
You just need a camera, you know, you just need one light, you know, you have to be really creative on what you're doing. But if you do it well in the platform that you work in, then it's going to perform like way better, and you're going to have a huge like ROI. Like I've seen big creators that like do amazing commercial stuff, and they'll post their landscape video on Instagram showing this amazing stuff they've done, and they have 600 views.
Yeah, flops.
And then you see somebody doing like a video with their phone, and it's just like blowing up, you know, like. So I think for those people trying to like come into the industry now, unless you just want to be focused on film, like becoming a generalist, it can be like a huge asset. And it's what, like, for example, I'm looking for the specialized position on only being a social media content creator. I want somebody that I can like, you know, I've done it a few times, but like literally send to Paris, you know, like interview this person and like just make a cool montage out of it, you know, if possible while you're on the train. So that you do a few selects and stuff, or you ring Cameron after your shoot, you upload all the footage to a drive and hope that when you wake up in the morning, the video is ready. Just hope.
But it's really interesting you spoke about that, because so we were doing a shoot with like a major music label recently, and they basically just had like people who are TikTokers coming in to create videos and short form content with the music artists. Instead of getting like the video production company to do it, they were just coming in with their phones, and these TikTokers were like, let's do this. And it's like, they're like banging out like 4 or 5 video ideas for TikTok in the space of like 30 minutes. And it was just like, all they're using is their phone. And like you're saying, like, you don't need to be a specialist now. It's like, if you're good at creating like a wide range of content, or almost if you're a content creator yourself, you know how to do it all. So then they're getting them to work with like major artists and celebrities and stuff to create the content for the brand or the label or whoever. And they're just getting, like you say, like a really good ROI. It's not a high budget shoot. It's not costing them much. Obviously, if they're a big time TikToker, then they're going to want a lot of money. But if someone's good at creating content, you can just bring them in and say, right, just film 5 or 6 TikTok random ideas or things that are trending at the moment. And you can get a video that bangs and pops, and you've only spent like 800 quid instead of 10 grand on a shoot.
It's so interesting because it first came around with YouTube, and then the landscape has changed over the course of time, where it's YouTube and then it's TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and whatever else. And it's almost like, I don't know if a generalist was almost like, nah, like you don't want to be a generalist at first. And then over the course of like at least the last 5 years, like
especially
it's actually
with the amount of
worthwhile.
video content that's coming out. I don't know how I feel about it as a photographer, because it's like, well, if my goal is to create like high-end campaigns on like a set or shoot covers of magazines or whatever it is, like that's not like a rush job I can just go in with an iPhone camera and execute. And it's the same if you're wanting to direct like short films or like whatever. You can't just like go in with your iPhone on your own. And it depends on the kind of like content you're trying to create,
or the platform you're working on.
Yeah.
You're talking about magazine covers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But those are like big campaigns, live in like big billboards and like that. But like, if your content is gonna live in a social media environment, like almost if it's too polished and it doesn't feel organic, people don't connect with it because it'll feel like an ad.
It's hard to describe how I feel about it, because it's like I'm a photographer and I'll get hired for something, but I know it's only going to end up on a social media post. And it's like, I want to get really creative and play around with the lighting and the styling and stuff. But like you say, but it's also then quite frustrating that someone could come along and take a photo selfie or like something on a phone and it'll perform way better. Like, where's the art in that? But if it's fast form content that's designed to be really digestible and not look high end and not look like an ad, then it's for a different market and different environment.
Yeah, but I guess you're also giving them the value of like, for you, your work to be appreciated, it doesn't mean that it has to have a lot of likes and it has to have a lot of views. Or is it okay that, you're just really happy with it and, like there's a story. There's like 3 comments of people that actually really like it. But, like they might have learned a lot from it. Like you're going to have like selfies where like people are just like losing their shit about it and, that's it. But it's the environment that they live in. And I guess the metrics on how something performs doesn't evaluate how creative and how beautiful your work was.
100% true.
Maybe you have to be okay with, if you want to be making films, maybe you have to be okay with posting landscape on Instagram and it not doing very well. But the people who are looking for that kind of work
or on Vimeo
will,
Or
so
go to the cinema to watch it.
What do you want to maximize? Do you want to maximize like engagement, or do you want to maximize just making it look like an absolute beast of a piece?
Well, again, it depends. Like, so if I want like a career as a photographer and I want like a photography book and exhibition and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, me trying to create fast form content isn't going to be something that I want to put up in a gallery or have in my lifetime's work on my book.
Yeah.
So it depends like what your end goal is. But if you're a content creator that really gets a kick out of short form content and you love the whole engagement side of it and seeing what goes viral and playing around with that, you're almost more of a content creator than an artist.
I don't know, like how these two worlds are divided, I think there's an art to...
I think there is an art to short form content as well. So I don't want to say they're not artists, but like...
Well, again though, I think it's because they require different skills. Like if you're making short form social content, it's not going to require the same set of skills that you would do if you need to figure out how to light this person properly for a film. It's like you're not going to spend that much time lighting it to that extent to make it look like an ad, because ads won't... Like if it looks like an ad, people won't be engaged as much if it's on social. You know what I mean? So you won't spend the time to learn how to light someone properly to the extent of as if he was going to become a cinematographer in Hollywood.
It's such an interesting... I wish I had thought a little bit more about it, because like there's an art to do short form content and in social media, but it is like a very I don't know what to conclude from it, but it's I think...
But that's fine. I don't think we don't have it figured out. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's okay. Like we're just expressing our opinions and kind of what our 2 cents is on the whole thing. But like the video content you create. So for those that don't know, like I sit and watch camera and edit like 10 things Anthony Joshua can't live without, or like, and I'm sure many people listening have seen them on YouTube and on social platforms, 10 things this person can't live without. Like I was literally saying to you earlier, I just watched the Lil Kana one this morning whilst I was having my breakfast. and I loved it, and it was great. And it's a really simple idea, but it hooks you with enough curiosity to be like, oh, I like that artist or that person. I wonder what they can't live without. And like you say, it's really simple to execute. It's a clean shoot. It's on the same backdrop. Nothing's really changing. They're just talking about different items. And it's like a really simple concept, but it works, and it works really well. And it has you latched, and you get a bit of a story about the person and what they're like as a personality-wise. And you kind of like entering into their, it's like MTV Cribs. It's like, welcome to my home. You're taking a step into their life, and you're doing it that way through their valuable items and what they value most. And you start to paint a picture of a person when you realize that. So I think like ideas like that, they're simple, but they just work so well.
Well, it's so relatable.
And so, yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, we like the same thing, or like, and you feel like then closer to that individual, which is why I think it's so important for these talented people, whoever, to do them, because they're more relatable to their audience then, and then people love them more. But
so one important thing on YouTube when you're doing content as well is like how to like franchise creative. Like the fact that you guys mentioned like the same clean background and stuff like that, that's like creating an identity and a brand. Like many successful YouTube channels, I think on the first frame on the video that you watch, you like almost recognize who is on the video, even if you still haven't seen like the name of the title. Like if I tell you 2 black tables and 10 sauces in the center, chicken wings, do you know what video I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All right. What about talent sitting down on a completely yellow background?
I believe it's about like a music artist talking about the lyrics, right?
Yes.
And stuff. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember.
It's called Verified by
okay.
By this. It's a website that does by Genius.
Right. Okay. See, I knew the theme of the video. I couldn't even remember the name of the things, but I could remember the
You've
video.
obviously got colors as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the backdrop that always changes color, but as soon as you see it, you know what it is. And there's what's the rap one again when rappers come in and the
yellow and black.
split, yellow and black.
Yeah.
It slips my name. But
or if it's in a chicken shop.
Yeah, you know exactly straight away. Yeah.
So
iconic franchises. Yeah.
There's always a circle of promotion going on of everything. People appear on talk shows and things like that, not because they want to be on TV or whatever. They're always like there is part of a promotion circle that is happening. So when an actor does a new film and things like that, they always need to promote it. And, like it comes from appearing on TV to doing press junkets to doing all that kind of stuff. So GQ has always had an unparalleled access to like celebrities and stuff like that. Sometimes you're given this opportunity with an amazing celebrity or talent, and they're going to give you an hour of your time. And if you're smart on the way of you execute it without needing a whole TV crew and stuff, you can do some kind of like content that feels part of a franchise, and you create an episode of like what feels like the TV of the future for me.
Yeah.
These franchises come from like trial and error of like developing formats where, 10 Essentials is like an amazing way of interviewing about personal stuff without it feeling too threatening as well to talent. Like it's the interviewer's job when you find out what their essentials are, like, okay, how can I know more about you by the essential product that you brought? So I remember like Trent Alexander-Arnold brought like a DV set of the Entourage, it's called. Yeah.
Entourage.
Entourage, like he brought that TV set, and that was a segue to talk about how when he was a kid, he used to watch that with his brother, and they always dream about like, wow, like I hope one day I'm gonna be successful and I can take care of all my friends and stuff like that. And that was like, you get that amazing soundbite about getting him to open up about his childhood, and all you needed him to bring was like a DV set.
I like what you said about TV of the future, in your opinion, because that's so true. Because now, so it's funny, I go home and my parents still watch like normal TV. But if I sit down to like eat something or like chill like over lunch, I'll put YouTube on, and it'll be like a 10 Essentials or a chicken shop or like whatever it is. And it's like usually a franchise thing, or it's like a couple of my favorite YouTubers, and you sit and watch them, and it is the TV of the future. I know so many people now, our age and younger, that sit and watch YouTube content instead of normal TV, and don't pay for a TV license anymore, and don't Do you know what I mean? Like they don't, because, and it's so true. Like that is the TV of the future, I think as well.
Technically, it's the TV of the present.
See, yeah, I know.
I'm already watching YouTube.
Yeah,
but
I know, but I think like as the older generation dies out, less and less people will be watching terrestrial TV. So like BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I watch YouTube on my TV.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I've only been watching BBC lately because I was interviewing Theroux. And I had to go back to like, well, I mean, I was actually watching BBC iPlayer, which is not like real old school TV, but I can't remember the last time I tuned in into like
proper TV.
Yeah.
I want to bring it more personal to you and you being on set and things like that. When you're interviewing like an A-list talent or someone who doesn't like, similar to Rowan Atkinson, like we knew that he doesn't do interviews a lot of the times. So when you're preparing for speaking to A-list talent and figuring out questions to ask and all these things, what's like your process to go through to prepare for that?
So if I'm going to interview somebody like Rowan, for example, I go crazy and deep dive into it. Like I start watching first like their work. I've seen a lot of Mr. Bean when I was a kid, but turns out there's only like 15 episodes. It's not even that long. That was like really surprising. I was like, wow, this is way shorter than I expected. Like Louis was a nightmare. Like he's done so much. Yeah. But like you start watching all their work, and then you start to watch all the interviews that they've done before. Because I think like when you ask the same question to somebody, like they go into autopilot. So you want to find new things or basically ask a follow-up question to something that they've been asked already so that you get like new insights. And then I would just always like read a lot as well, like some written interviews that they've done, and maybe stalk their social media as well if they have. I mean, Rowan doesn't have any kind of like social media, but like you learn a lot by watching people's profiles. So it's important to also see like what they post about, like basically show up on the day. And in the way I never like boast about it, like, oh my God, I've just been like researching you for like 2 weeks nonstop. But like you wanna, by what you're asking, you wanna show like, I know what you do and I'm here to like have a like conversation where what I'm extracting from you is gonna be truly interesting. I'm not coming to like have a got you moment of like asking something weird about your personal life and stuff, but like I know a lot about you and I want to like get your story out to the world in the best possible way and make you like incredibly interesting to who is watching. Because ultimately what's more important for me on the videos is that they're interesting. Like it's all about retention and stuff. So like I don't want the boring stories of like, tell me what's your new movie about, and like tell me, like I want to know like how did the inspiration come, like is this the project that you've always wanted to do? Like I want to dive into like how they see themselves and how they hope to be reflected, and trying to like put that into the video.
That makes them like more interested as well, because I feel like if you turn up on set and you've been getting, like you say, you're in autopilot and you've been getting loads of the same questions, but you suddenly get asked something about the recipe you made recently or like the cooking or just like a completely different topic, you're like, oh, like it's just like quite refreshing to talk about something new, I imagine, from their standpoint. So I imagine it's quite nice to be like, oh, well, I actually haven't really spoken about this. And they kind of, they're like, oh, and then they get into it and you can tell they're passionate about it. And then it starts to roll from there.
When you get that, that's like, you're making content. Yeah. Like I am literally sitting down there and I'm like, wow, this is content. It's happening. Yeah. I have to say also, like, it was somebody analyzing Rowan's work, but they pointed out how Mr. Bean was shot using a lot of wide shots. And then I asked him about it, because I guess that's not a normal thing that people will ask, like, why do you shot so wide, Mr. Bean? And he really digged that question, and he gave me like an amazing insight. He was like, Charlie Chaplin once said that comedy is a wide shot and tragedy is a close-up. So on my new show, like, we use more close-up because I wanted to show more like the vulnerable side of the character and stuff like that. And I found that so interesting, but that was only thanks to doing all the research and find out like, hey, like there is an insight here. And if I ask him about it, he's like gonna fully develop into why he was doing stuff like that. Because for him, Mr. Bean was like just pure comedy, he wanted to show more like this horrible character that he like come across with, and with his new work, it was a little bit more trying to show like a vulnerable side of somebody.
Yeah. That's super interesting. That.
Yeah. So in terms of like advice for people that are about to sit down and interview someone or do a shoot with someone that's a little bit more A-list, is there any like subconscious guidelines you follow in the back of your head in terms of like turning up with maybe like a list of things that you want to make sure you hit, or, you know, respecting like, I guess not like respecting their time, you know, just general things when you're on shoot with someone like that?
It's very important to always establish good relationships with the agent, because sometimes the agent is the first barrier that you like have to like work through with talent. So if the agent is comfortable with you and the talent sees it, that kind of like breaks down a barrier, especially with talent that might be a little bit younger or a little bit like newer to the world. Agents have like the duty of protect who they're like, you know, working for. So you want to be on their good side. And another one that is important for me to always think about is that you're being given an hour. You have to make out the most of it. And I tend to push as much as I can. I know you get the sign like 5 minutes, you know, like you have to stop, we have to stop. Very, very, very rarely you're ever going to see these people again. So if you can squeeze in one more question, you know, I always like to try ask it. And without being too pushy or without being too rude, but like make the best out of the time you have. Like you have one opportunity only. There's never going to be a reshoot. There's never going to be, might not be a second opportunity to ask the question again. So always like, you know, fight for what you want to get. Worst comes to worst, the agent is going to jump in and it's going to say, sorry, it's the end of the time, you know, we have to go. Or if you're Rowan Atkinson, he might just say, that was your last question and goodbye, you know.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's very important to, I mean, coming back to having a good environment on set, I don't think it's ever look good if like you're shouting to your crew, you know, like everybody get ready, whatever, you know, like you have to be assertive, but never be disrespectful in front of talent. Like that doesn't make you look more powerful. It just makes you look like a dick.
Well, that goes back to what we said about don't be a dick. Even if you're the director or the head of the crew, don't be a dickhead to your crew.
Just because you're in a position of authority, it never gives you, you know, a position to then start talking down and belittling people. Yeah.
I always like to have like a mini chat at least before, so it doesn't feel too robotic, you know, like we're just here and stuff.
Yeah. Is that with the talent?
Yeah,
chat with the talent.
Just kind of getting to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, it's just sometimes it's really hard because sometimes you work with people that, you know, they might have been doing 10 interviews on the same day, so they're a little bit like fed up with it. But if you can find something to talk about that they're gonna be passionate about as well, that might break down the wall and like feel like, oh, I'm getting something different today. So I guess I always try to stand out in a way that they feel like, okay, this might be a little bit different, you know, and have good attitude. The talent is in the position that they're on camera, so they have a lot more pressure than you on like, you know, being the center of attention. I remember when I worked with Macy Williams, I was trying to be, there was a moment where we needed to get sound bites, and sound bites are a little bit awkward to record because you're like basically people asking to say the same thing a few times. And I was trying to be really silly in the way of doing it, just so it felt more comfortable for her to just feel natural, you know, like, hey, like I'm trying to make an environment here where doesn't have to be awkward just for you, you know, like I'm going to be here awkward with you as well. I'm not on camera, but I kind of trying to say like, I'm sympathizing here with you, and, you know, like it's fine. We're like in an environment that is very key. Just making feel people really comfortable, like trying to alleviate the pressure. If you can shoot with the less amount of people possible, that's always better, you know, like make people like stand out far away as much as possible.
I just want to go back to you talking about like the assertiveness and controlling the set, but also being a little bit, you know, not shouting and stuff, because you're in quite a unique position, and especially because we're a similar age. How did you learn to be assertive and sort of like trust that you're the one who knows what's best?
The assertiveness is more on how you manage the team. Mm-hmm. But I'm not by any far more knowledgeable than everybody else on set. Like I rely on my team on them knowing the best on how to do the task that they're doing. So if there's a camera problem, I trust that they're going to be the best ones to solve it. I'm not being assertive. Like,
I don't mean like telling them what to do. I mean more so like when something's happening you'll sort of be the one to best know how to fix the problem just in general with the project. And like as a good example, when we did Men of the Year, we had like a bit of a NAS drive issue, and everyone in the room was saying to me, "Man, like it's so interesting how Mateo is just so calm and collected, and like a lot of people would be like sweating and like being like, oh my god, like all this, but you seem to be able to think logically and keep a fixed mindset and just see like the solution or seek the solution."
I imagine that comes through experience though, like the amount of shoots you've been on, the amount of things you've kind of gone through and like problems you had to deal with in the past. Like the more those grow and the more years you do what you do, like you feel comfortable because you've almost either been in the position before or something's fucked up in the past before, but you know that you are able to deal with it. So I imagine that's what keeps you calm.
Yeah. I have another quote for your whiteboard, Cameron, which says, good decisions come from experience and experience comes from bad decisions. So I've made a lot of fuck ups in my life, and I've always tried to find how to learn from them. But also, so maybe for a little bit of context, like on one of my last events, I had a problem with a NAS server, which is where you store all the media. And one of the drives got corrupted. And then we ran into a situation where like the IT person said, if you keep on editing from this NAS server, you're just gonna like might corrupt all the media. Or you can like basically stop the post-production and they're gonna like try to restore it. But obviously when you're doing an event, which is all about getting the media and content done, it was a really tough spot. I think what Cameron you're referring to, I think it was not really about being assertive, but actually like being able to stay calm. I think in a situation of panic and when things are going really bad, because like that's probably the worst thing like I could have been told on the night, is stay calm, and then that way you have the mental clarity to take the right decision. Now the right decision comes from the experience of what you've done in the past and trying to find the best workaround, you know, like whether it means like rebook new crew for the next day, you know, try to solve the, first of all, save the media, make new backups into like different hard drives.
So what did you do? What was the decision?
The decision was to basically obviously protect the media first, because obviously we spend so much money on getting media. So we were like, let's first save things. We actually let most of the editors just like clock out, which some of them were like, hey mate, sorry, I need to go home, you know, I have a shoot tomorrow and stuff. And then 3 hours later I went to pee and they were like peeing next to me, like all drunk, you know, like partying, which I didn't mind, you know. I was like, okay, you took the night off, it's fine. But I always prefer people being honest to me.
Just to clarify, I was still there. So
yeah, you Cameron stayed.
Still there,
stayed. But yeah, I think little by little we were able to split the project around hard drives. And then instead of working from a communal NAS all at the same time, everything got delayed. But everybody received their individual hard drives, and then all the projects got delivered on throughout the next days. In the end, always, events are always about fast things and whatever, but nobody ever remembers a live date. So if you go live a day later, well, that'd be it, you know.
I'm going to remember that. Next time I'm staying up till 5 in the morning.
I had the similar situation as well on another event a few years ago that we were trying to do like the kind of a flip around effect.
Oh, the camera goes over.
Yeah. So on our minds, it worked really well. We had the rig. We had actually the guy that did the original like A$AP Rocky video as well. So we had the tech and stuff.
Yeah.
When we came to test it on the day, that's the problem of the events. You have only that day on the event to do everything. You come with all the pieces, but ultimately you're putting everything together on site. You know, we didn't have the freedom to be able to test around days before. So turns out that the animation and the camera rig that we had don't match, and like the edit doesn't work. It just looks bad.
Right.
So I received the call. I remember I was like, everything was supposed to be ready. We were like, the event was starting in like 30 minutes, and I was just putting my tuxedo on, and I got the call, and everybody was losing their shit. I remember like I had a producer working there as well that was like, you know, this is a disaster. It's not working, blah, blah, blah. Just by staying calm, I was just, okay, just let me 1 second be on the computer, you know, and I had everybody looking at me and just went back into the jar of experience and think like, okay, what can we do with this stuff? and just quietly like made some masks and like some black bars that like kind of solved the effect. And it was literally solved in 2 minutes. But it was just because instead of panicking like everybody was, I was just so calm and I could have the mental clarity to think like.
So for anybody listening, you want to be like a problem solver on set or on the project. You don't want to be the one that's like, what do we do?
Even if you don't know the right solution, I think it's important to say like, listen, we have this problem. We've tried this solution, or I think this could work. Like always try to come with solutions to whoever you're telling them a problem, because ultimately you're both on it. You're a team, you know, and you have to like, you cannot put all the pressure on that person to like solve it. So always, if you have a problem on set, always come with solutions.
This is only something I discovered recently, by the way, is that we tend to have a lot of, even though we're on the same projects, we have different experiences. And especially on like the event stuff where you're just as stressed as I am, but the other day you said something to me like, oh, like that certain project, oh, that was like one of the best projects. Like, oh, it went so smoothly. And that is the one project out of probably my entire career where I remember it being the most stressful project of my life in a good way. But at the time when you're in it, I'm like shaking at the keyboard because it's so intense. And then you're just like, oh, that was so good. Now, from my perspective, it's my job to make your life easier. Like that's the whole point. I'm there on every project. Hopefully you feel that, by the way. Like your life is just amusing. Anyway. But have you found that a lot? Like, or is that something that is common, I guess? You might not know. Maybe the listeners can relate to this, but I was so surprised when you said it.
I know what you mean. Like, I feel like there's always like this perspective, different perspective on work. Like maybe with the information that you have, you might think there's more pressure on things that there is not. Or sometimes you build your own pressure to yourself. Like I've experienced, you know, like videos where the deadline was killing me and I was literally like sweating, you know, like working as fast as I could, trying to deliver on time, you know, because that's when I thought like the project had to be finished completely, to then like find out that the video is posted like next week, you know, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, why I've been dying, you know, like non-sleeping for this. This goes to my same point. Like now I remember it's a live date. At the beginning, I used to be more stressed about stuff, and I did suffer a lot sometimes from like delivery deadlines, you know, like the name of it is already quite scary, you know, like you work towards deadlines. So it does feel sometimes like you're literally gonna die. I totally sympathize with you. But then I've become to understand as well that if you don't hit a deadline, I mean, I don't want to say to people as well, like, hey, you can always miss a deadline, it's fine, you know, but if because of a real good reason you can hit a deadline, it's also not the end of the world. Like, it's just a video. Again, we're not doctors, you know, there's no lives on the line. Maybe in the live industry and TV, when things had to go at this very specific time, because it was like a 200K spot on TV that, like, you know, it was on prime time and ready for that, I understand. You know, there's certain moments where a deadline is truly a deadline. But there's many projects that, you know, ultimately, I think if you communicate well with like how would I've approached your situation, I think if you are under so much pressure, is like, as ahead of time as you can, just be like, hey, Mateo, I think this deadline is not realistic. Like, I'm truly going to be working on it like 18 hours and I still feel like there's not enough time to complete it. And then you might open the eyes of your producer and they might realize like, well, maybe what I'm asking is very unrealistic. You know, like you have to remember sometimes the people that hire you and stuff, they have no idea of what to do, what you do. And they might think it's like really easy, but it actually takes like hours to do. So I think it's very important to communicate that so that you don't end up in a position where you've agreed to do something and then you're like, all right, this is impossible. And unless a miracle happens, there's no way to deliver it. And then you like start to panic.
Yeah, but I think that's also, in my experience, one of the weird things with working in the creative industry is you can be smoothly going along and then you'll come across one thing that might take like an extra 4 hours to solve. So 4 hours ago, you was like, oh, we got loads of time. And oh yeah, deadline's easy. And then immediately you'll come across something that just takes time to fix. And then all of a sudden it's like, this deadline's unrealistic. So the deadline isn't unrealistic until it is. And it's so, especially depending on the type of project.
On that shoot as well, maybe I had built in a safety net that you were not aware of. Like, which is also important when you're like working toward deadlines. You should never cut things to the minimum. So that's why you have like a safety net of extra time. Maybe you have a buffer available. If I know a video needs to be ready by this day, I will never ask for it to be delivered at the hour that it's supposed to go live. I want it delivered like 3 days before. So maybe for you, you're like dying thinking, oh my God, I need to finish it. Like it needs to be ready by Friday, but I know the video is going out on Monday. Now that's why communication is so important. Because I guess if you flag ahead of time, I don't think I can do Friday, then you might find out actually there's a little buffer so you can like, chill a bit.
One of the reasons why I actually think me and you work really well together as well, from my perspective, is I've never come across anybody else who respects the video art as much as me. And the reason why I feel like I have a responsibility to do well with the work because it's part of the craft. And so for you to stay up and stay late, and I'm on the phone to you sometimes, it's like 2 a.m. and you're like still in the office. And that's why I work hard for you, because it's almost like we have like a mutual ground with wanting to produce good work. But going back to the deadlines, I only do that because I'm deadline orientated. So I need to think that the video is going live on the Friday in order to push to be able to have it done by Friday.
Well, that's when it comes back to you being like a good producer, a good boss, or whatever you want to call it, knowing how to get the most out of your people. So if you know Cameron's going to slack if you say, well, it's not going out till Wednesday.
I hate the word slack. Cameron never slacks.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But like, if you know Cameron's not going to like work in the same way than the way you want him to work by like the language you use and what you tell him, then it's like knowing how to get the most out of your people. And he just like admitted, do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
and then that comes back to like working as a team in a correct way, like knowing the individuals, knowing how you can get the most out of them. That's like being a good football manager. So you've got 11 people in your starting lineup, but they all need to be coached very differently in order to get the best out of them. It's the same concept.
I understand the pressure of being deadline oriented. Like I also love to work like that. And sometimes when there's more time pressure is when like the creative juices flow better. I feel like maybe because I've had now a few years of experience of like really suffering from the pressure of deadlines, I've learned to like always remember like it's not that important, it's not that deep in the end, like you're doing what you love. That's such a like blessing. Don't suffer it so much. Speak out, and just like try to enjoy it, like we're so lucky to be doing like the stuff that we like to do. So have a good time while you're doing it.
That was beautiful, Mateo. Oh my God.
I need to double check some stuff that I'm saying, but basically it's just when I first joined GQ, for example, the first piece of advice I was given was, do you have a hard skin? Because like you need it for this job. There was a lot of pressure moments happening. I learned a lot then from there, not to panic out of like, maybe we were both had the exact same pressure of finishing the video on the same day, but I was like quite calm about even if we didn't make it, because in the end, like it's just, like nobody's gonna remember when that video came out. Like after all, it's just it happened, and and it was there.
Yeah.
Do it properly and release it. Talking about Low Corner, one of my first videos that I did with him was with Ottolenghi. They cooked together, and it's an amazing video. They had the best moment. Yeah. And I had a moment like you. I had a producer at the time that really wanted to get the video out. It has to go live now. It has to go live. So it went out ungraded.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's still on the channel. It's got like 300,000 views as well. People love the video, and everybody's making fun of like, was the color is not working today? Like it just went out because I could not handle the pressure of saying like, oh, it's not ready, and it just went out like that. And now every time I regret it so much because it's such a nice video. And I even said it to him, like, I'm so sorry if you ever watched that video, that it looks so washed out. I just like wasn't able to fight more for like, hey, this video is not finished. I need one more day, and after all, like, it's not that deep.
It's almost like responsibility to the project. So it's almost for the sake of the project that I'm not allowing you to set such a bad deadline for it. You almost take that initiative from the experience. So how is Mateo using AI, and what do you think of where it's going to go? Like, it's getting pretty crazy. So
I was actually speaking recently with my friend Mike, sound mixer, and I did say to him, you should start looking for new things that you can do apart from sound mixing, because that's going away. Like, I don't know if you tried
Adobe
Podcast and Audio Butler and some other brands, like they're releasing crazy stuff for sound mixing, which normally you pay in London like maybe 300 or more, I don't know, for a sound mix. Now you pay £75 for a plugin or something like that, and they do it with like in 3 seconds, which is crazy. It'll mix sound, music, sound effects, almost on a click. It's not perfect yet, but it's just
not far off.
It's just come out and it's already really strong. While a lot of like basic editing is gonna go away, I feel like AI is just a tool. You know, and the sooner you master it, the more proficient you're gonna become. Like AI is not here to like take away jobs. It's like to help you work faster and do new things. So I personally feel like I'm completely embracing it. Today I was researching video. It's super good for captioning and like animates like word by word, like what you're saying and stuff like that.
Ooh,
which
you should look into that, Cameron.
Yeah, it creates more engagement while you're watching.
Premier's the caption tool.
No, video, but the spell like completely wrong.
There is another one as well, beginning with C. I think it's called Captionate. That's another one that's like does the proper funky captions.
Yeah, this one does it as well. You can like have blocks coming in, kind of stuff. So I think my conclusion with AI is it's a tool.
Use it as a tool.
Use it as a tool. You know, don't be scared of it. Don't be against it. I feel like
it's like you either adapt or die, and if you don't learn to use the tool, then you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation actually quite a lot recently, and I put out. I did a series on my Instagram a few days ago where I posted a series of 8 photos, and they were all portraits, but they were all like athletes with their children, and it was like playing for something bigger. So it was like the sacrifices they make in their training and giving their life to elite sport to raise their kids. But all the photos were AI. And it got a really good response on social media, but there was a few people, and someone in the comments was like, you made that, like, but you didn't really make it. And also, how can you expect to get emotion from AI? How do you expect me to feel emotion towards this post because you've made it using AI?
Yeah, the exact thing was in your caption, you said created by me.
Because I was like, created by me. The concept was created by me. Like, I thought this idea, and I was like, I don't have the budget to go out and shoot this thing. And it's just an idea I've got, so let me create this idea and use AI to execute it. So like the idea was made by me. I get like I haven't gone out and taken the photo, but I've typed in exactly what I want on Midjourney and the camera I want it shot on and the focal length and the lighting, and like I've just taken what's in my head and I've put it into Midjourney and created a series of photos that ties into this idea. And like I got that comment and like 8 other people liked it, and it was kind of like, right. But on the whole, like another 20 people commented saying, this is great, this is sick. Like AI is going to be used in creative direction, and we know other people that are using it to pitch to brands for photo ideas, all this kind of stuff. But it's like, it was the first piece of work I'd put out there that was made using AI. And I was like, do I do more of this? Do I not? Like, I don't know. It felt really strange to me.
Yeah, ultimately you created the input to it, and there's a word now for like the art of giving the input to the AI that creates the art. Like anybody that challenge you, like you didn't do this, you can challenge them back and see what you can generate. Can you generate this better than me?
You come up with an idea then.
Yeah, can you like
it?
So it is art in its own way. It's just like there's a lot to be talked about AI in general and how people are interpreting it. So I think as we get used to it, you know, but I see it as the new internet. Like that's what it must have felt when like people.
That's what you said to me on the phone. They were like, you know how everyone lost their jobs like when the internet came about. It's like you either learn to use the internet or you don't. And it's like you get left behind.
Because obviously, like it's going to eliminate some parts of the process that some people might be specialized on. But that doesn't mean like it's an enemy, you know. Like if you become good at it, then you're just gonna even stand out more. Because like now podcast editors and stuff like that, instead of doing one edit a week, they can like cut down 4 podcasts in one day.
Yeah.
So
well, I got excited about it because it was like, oh, I can essentially think of a concept and go out and shoot it, but not actually shoot it. I can create the images in my brain because I don't have the budget to do this photo shoot in Hawaii on the beach. Like I can't physically go do that, but now I almost can because I can create the concept and it's only going to get better and better, and I can execute the shoot idea.
All creative agencies now and all that in the pitch process, now instead of spending like hundreds and thousands of pounds getting like people to render stuff, now the creatives can just literally generate pitch images and like any kind of thing that they need to like sell an idea just through like AI, which is like, again, like this helps people to be more creative, develop more ideas, and instead of one company spending a lot of budget in one idea, now maybe they can do 2 ideas, and it's actually going to give more work to like, people be able to do 2 projects and stuff like that. So
over the course of your career, what's like the one thing you want to have accomplished just in general, like by the end of your career maybe, or maybe in the next few years? What is it? That one thing? Because you've shot a lot of people, so usually people be like, oh, I want to shoot with this person. Odds are you've kind of probably already done that.
I never had an ambition of like shooting with people. For me, celebrities are just normal human beings. Like if you've stop seeing them as like this kind of like mystical person, then you can always also connect better with them and have a one-on-one conversation. The celebrity part came as a blessing in disguise of like pursuing what I wanted, because it obviously now I've met like so many people I admire, and like I had like chats with the people that I could have never dreamed of talking. But I think ultimately, what's the one thing that I truly want is, I think it's just to always keep on doing what I love. Like I think I've been really lucky that every day that I go to work, well, not every day, but like most of the days that I'm working, I'm doing things that I enjoy. And I think that's the ultimate payoff of like working in the creative industry. Like you can live with like smaller salaries than many other like professions around. At the beginning, especially, you're gonna really struggle more economically than many of your friends when you're like trying to break into the industry. Like I don't think I know anybody that started already on a good salary, but you blessed with the opportunity of doing what you want and what you like to do. And I think that is something that I've never seen, or I very rarely see on other professions. Like speak with your like banker friends and speak with like your lawyer friends. I mean, they have an amazing jobs that like pay really good, but they have a division on their lives. They have their 9-to-5 life, which they like kind of like absorb, and they have to go through it. So then the other part, it becomes their like, reason why they do that. If you become a creative that enjoys what they do, I think that's like a blessing, because then there's no split. We can work until night and we can work on the weekends, but we're still doing what we want. So in a way, it's not even like working that much. It's just like you're doing what you want and you're paying the price for it. But it's the ultimate freedom of like, you're not doing something that you don't want to get something else. You just have your normal life and you're happy.
That's it, Mateo. Thank you so much for coming on. And we'll end there. I hope everyone enjoyed listening, and I hope you also enjoyed it as well, Matt.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was very valuable, and I think there's definitely some takeaway points there that people can learn from. And if you're a creative listening, then you can definitely take away some of that stuff and apply it to your own, life and your own progress. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. Mateo, do you want to?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Wait, before we do it, is there anywhere people can follow you?
I just came as a friend. I'm not promoting myself.
Okay.
But I'm glad you didn't ask me which celebrity is the biggest dick, because I was going to say... No, I was not going to say
Okay.
But it's not.
Okay, let's wrap it there, folks.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much, guys, for watching this episode. There was definitely some juicy topics in there, and hopefully there's some takeaway points that you guys can learn from. I know me and Cameron definitely enjoyed recording this episode. If you could like, subscribe, drop a comment below, all is really, really appreciated. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.